Right. Hey everybody, we're gonna let some people already log in. We'll start in a few minutes. We'll start the webinar in about 3 minutes, everybody. Thanks everybody for attending. Welcome everybody. We'll be starting in a few minutes. We'll start the webinar at 3 minutes past. Actually, probably 4 minutes past. We're gonna get enough people to sign on and get onboarded. Hope everybody's doing well and they're safe and sound. We have a lot of attendees, so I'll make sure everybody's here. Welcome everybody. We'll be starting in a few minutes. It'll All right, we'll be starting the webinar in about two minutes or so, 2 or 3 minutes, just waiting for some more people to arrive. And I'll be starting in about a minute or so. All right, more and more people are showing up, so that's a good thing. I hope everyone's doing well. It's so nice to see so many names coming in here. All right, you know what? I think this is a good point for us to start. So welcome everybody to our webinar today. We'll be talking about static application security testing, or SAST. Now, first thing I need to do is I want to address is I am Bill Manning. I am one of the solution engineering managers with JFrog. I've been here for about 7 years now. I wanted to say that, Asaf Cohen was originally here to host this. He, unfortunately, because of the way things are going on currently in Israel, I've taken over these duties to make sure that he and all of our friends and family that are over there are safe, and we pray for their safety all the time. I'm hoping I could do as good of a job as Asaf would do. So I'm going to say that, thank you guys for attending, and I'm Bill. Let's start our journey. Now, first of all, the first thing I want to address, the thing is us as the binary management people. people who manage all the third-party transitive dependencies. We help you manage your software supply chain, because it usually feels like this. You're working, you're always constantly inundated with CVEs and issues and things that you need to fix and go through, and you're used to us spouting these amazing headlines where we're helping defend the world and make software safer and more secure for our customers so they can provide better services and everything to their customers. And like I said, you see all these kind of headlines all the time that we're used to showing you and explaining to you, and how third-party software, is costing companies millions of dollars to fix and remediate, how there's CVEs increasing all over the world constantly, and, the fact that, we help you defend against those open source threats for that 85 to 90% of those things that you use to build your software, right? This is what JFrog is known for. We're known for the third-party transitive management and the builds you produce through your SDLC, your release management life cycles, and all that. And the thing is that when we come along and we work with companies on managing their end-to-end, from developer to device, from code to cloud, and you look at all these various aspects, public repositories for those third-party transitive dependencies, the builds you produce and how you produce them and how you release them and how you distribute them. We're known for this. And the thing is that our solutions know that there's various aspects through this entire SDLC when you are building your software that you're susceptible, that you're vulnerable. And we look at all these things that we do, and we have this mission on making sure that we covered all the various ways in which your company is susceptible to these malicious or nefarious things, such as malicious packages. X-Ray helps you, and with our advanced security, helps you defend against things like malicious packages. Because our X-Ray product is continuously scanning, it brings you closer to a zero-day model, right? If there's a new vulnerability that comes out in one of the third-party transitive dependencies, both direct and indirect, we have a way to help you notify and attribute and also remediate through that more rapidly. And then using things like contextual analysis, we can even tell you whether or not you're susceptible or not to these vulnerabilities or the malicious intents more rapidly, cutting down on the amount of time it takes to do investigative work and things like that. That's where the exploits come in around CVEs. We are a CNA, we are a CVE number authority, and we have this amazing research team. If you go to research.jfrog.com, we have a great website where we're constantly putting back information into the community about things that we find that can make your software more safe and more secure. We're also doing things around with our advanced security. We're doing things around secret management too. This is also a huge problem. You'd be surprised how many secrets we find when we did some open source scanning. We even scanned millions of containers we found on GitHub. On Docker Hub. And the thing is that we found millions of them that contained secrets that make those susceptible to attacks, right? API keys, access tokens, and whatnot. Also, too, we also fight against things like misconfiguration. Think about it, like infrastructure as code. If you're using something like Terraform to configure your applications, people make mistakes. Error is human, right? This is what we do. And the thing is that we're looking at ways to make things better for you, easier, so that you don't have to think about it. We can have that for you and let you know so that you can remediate it faster. We also make sure that, binaries are safe, the builds that you produce through the cycle. And of course, lastly, we're also going to be talking about down the line, not in this discussion, but in the very near future, things about, in the runtime and production level environments too. So the thing is that we're out there to help you protect yourself against all these, complete, threats that are out there, both malicious, nefarious, human error, you name it. We have solutions for this, X-Ray and our advanced security. And as I mentioned, we are a top-rated, CNA. We provide lots of information, lots of vulnerability data, new CVEs all the time, new methodologies, you name it. We're out there doing it, and we're giving back to the community. Besides also protecting our customers, we're approaching the 7,500 corporation global consumer market right now, which is huge, right? We have a massive amount of the Fortune 100. We're heading, towards the 90 percentile mark and things like that. But when we look at what we do, currently X-Ray, does, and our advanced securities covers things like the CVEs and secrets, exploits, and binaries, and all those kind of things, and malicious packages and whatnot. And if we have that complete end-to-end coverage, it makes every company better. The thing is that whenever I talk about any sort of these vulnerabilities, any sort of these potential threats and security issues, it's funny is because, yeah, I talk about the money aspect. Of course I do, right? There's a financial hit that can take place if something happens, right? You accidental leakage, whatever. The biggest threat you actually face is actually your reputation. By exposing your customers or your solutions to your customers that have any sort of susceptibility due to some sort of software supply chain issue, it's much easier to gain money back than it is to gain your reputation. But the thing is the reason why I'm bringing this up is that we have this end-to-end market now. We've actually had this end-to-end solution when it comes to security, from developer to device, code to cloud, as I stated. And today we're going to talk about the one important aspect, because the binary side of it is something you know about us. The dependency side is something you know about us. But today we're going to be talking about the creation portion. We're going to be talking about SAST, right? And what is SAST? How is it, why is it important? How do we address it? And I'm going to show you some demonstrations of how we're doing our best to make it easier for our customers to do what they do best. And the thing is that when you look at SAST, SAST is such an essential part. It's discovering those things that in the code, the first party code, the stuff you create, that you know about plenty of these SAST tools out there. There's a bunch in the market. But the thing is that they don't combine the elements like we do. And the reason why I say this is you need, first of all, to understand what we do. The main thing we're known for, which is SCA, right, which is software composition analysis. That means analyzing those first-party transitive dependencies, the 85 to 90% of the things that you use to build your software, whether it's Python, whether it's NPM, even Docker, right, all those pieces and components. We, for years, have provided you with an absolutely stunning solution around this. What static application security testing is, or SAST, the mouthful, is analyzing the code that those dependencies use, right? The code you create. And the thing is I always say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I come from a developer experience myself. I started my career 25 years ago as a developer. Yes, that is insane when I just said that. Anyway, 25 years ago. But the thing is, coders are artists. They're artisans of their craft. They pick the particular language they want to use, and as their medium, the language that best attributes to the solution at hand or was chosen for the solution they need to create. And the thing is, though, coders, use third-party transitive dependencies. I've been talking about this for a long time. The thing is, you don't want to hinder what they do with them having to actively go out and search for components that they want to use and figure out whether or not they're potentially malicious or nefarious. Let us do that for you and help you discover it. And then on top of that, with a current contextual analysis portion of our product, we can also tell you whether or not a CV is applicable or not, right? Whether or not you need to worry about that CV, because in most cases it happens to be there's 100 functions in the library you're using, and you're not using that function, do you need to worry about that CVE? Or, maybe it's an injection or some other method that is actually used for this kind of nefarious component. We help identify that more rapidly. So this way we can say, these are applicable to you and you should go fix them. And here's how you fix them. And we actually show you that. And I'll show you an example of that even in the IDE. But now we're going to go to the next step, which is the code implementation. Now that we've actually protected you against those third-party transitive dependencies, now we're going to help you make sure that when your developers are developing, that they're developing with the best standard possibles in mind. And this way, so when they're going, we provide them with not only there's lots of other tools out there that do this, and they're very request-based. Ours is very active-based. So in other words, while the developer is doing what they're doing, we provide them with that level of data so they can attack it quicker, more rapidly, and also work faster. So when we look at SAST and why it matters, of course, like I said, when you look at what we do as a corporation, as JFrog, we are known for that third-party management, right? The direct and indirect transitive dependencies. And to be honest, most of the issues that you face when it comes to CVEs and those malicious components are usually embedded in indirect transitive dependencies. I mean, look at something like, everybody knows, SolarWinds, and SolarWinds was like a 4th or 5th level transitive dependency on the software. But now we're going to go ahead and show you that first party, that proprietary stuff that you create, and how you can protect yourself and your customers against these potential threats that you usually see out there. And the JFrog security aspect now covers it all. right? So now we have the first party code that you create, and we can show you how you can go in and attribute to those, any of those potential threats and issues while you're coding, right? And I'll go over some examples of that. We also can help you with hardening and configuration. We detect secrets. We have infrastructure as code. We can also let you know in things like Docker, are there any services or any other applications that are running in there that could be a potential threat also? You'd be surprised how many Docker images that are out there contain secrets. Like I had one guy that I downloaded one of his containers. I went in and we ran it through here. It was for a Python hosting thing. Found tons of secrets, AWS keys, access tokens and stuff, and they were all in the root history, places people don't look. We discovered them. But on top of that, you'd be surprised how many things are running, amok in the background. I had one that I ran that it started up, put a network sniffer on it because it seemed kind of weird. And what it was doing was it was starting a service that I was connecting to somewhere in Asia, and it was saying, "Hey, give me all your logs." I was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty terrible." But now we also handle, we also have the third party stuff, right? Those FOSS, these are all the things. So this is a complete developer end-to-end coverage to make sure that everything that they're doing adheres to guidelines. It's, safer software means happier customers, means better reputation, which means consistent money in your pocket as a corporation. So why? Right? And why does, with developers, you need to trust your developers, but you also need to make sure that you provide them with tools to let them know when they are doing something potentially harmful. And it might, unbeknownst to them, they might not know. And the thing is that by catching the bugs earlier, catching these kind of vulnerabilities earlier instead of later, I mean, just to give you an idea, like even in CVEs, if you find a CVE in your production, it's 100 times more expensive for your company to go ahead and fix that. Because it's in production, where if you catch it earlier, shift left, this idea, and we actually can even go lefter than left, I heard somebody say one time with our curation product, which is a way to even make sure that things don't go in. That's for a whole nother topic. But the thing is, if you catch them, at the developer level, this is the best place for your organization to find and remediate more rapidly. And existing tools, provide too many false positives. They're slower. We'll go through some of the other things around this in my next slide. But the idea is that there are existing tools out there, but they only have a one-off basis, meaning they only attack one thing, where our tools also allow you to look at not only the potential SAST issues, but also, too, the third-party transitive threats. And I'll show you that. And on top of that, the thing is that you need to make it so that the developer can really integrate into the things that they do, right? To make their job that much easier to work with. And the thing is you don't want to slow them down. That's the most important thing. And with currently legacy tools, they're hard to integrate. They flood you with a tremendous amount of data. As I mentioned, we have things like contextual analysis, which actually lets you know, are you being affected by the CVE? And then on top of that, most of them are outdated. We are a CNA. We are constantly updating every single day. We are producing CVEs. We're updating the information. Our team is actually adding more information to every potential threat and issue that you might face as a corporation. And most of them are naive, right? The thing is that some of them are too shallow, so they might say they're fast, but they might be very shallow in what they do. They actually miss completely obvious issues. We've seen this many times, and it's actually, in my opinion, that's more terrifying. I would rather not have something than have something that gives me false hope, right? And then on top of that, they all require some sort of external rules and things like that. So why are we different, right? Why is JFrog SAST what we do? Why is it that important when we're doing what we're doing? So the thing is that we have integrations into JetBrains and VS Code like Android Studio. It works at the source code level in this case, right? And we'll show that. On top of that, there's no need for a complete build environment. We gathered the information. We know the transit dependencies. We can create the model based on that. We already have that portion. And then on top of that, we run everything inside of the IDE. And also, we could do it inside of our CLI, which I'll even show you that. And that's really cool. And on top of that, it runs locally, right? It runs locally in the developer's environment. So this way, it's contained, whether it's in the IDE or whether it's in our CLI. The thing is, and I'm going to also show you too, we also have integration with our thing called Frogbot. Frogbot is a way to integrate into your source control management, like GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket and others. But the thing is, it runs locally here, right? So it's fast, it's efficient, it's right where the developer needs it, which is at their hands, right? On top of that, it takes, the thing is, it's extremely efficient. We built it efficiently because we used, actually behind the scenes, I'll be completely transparent, we used our JFrog CLI as one of the main power bases behind this. If you're not familiar with our CLI, I'll show you some examples here, but it's multi-threaded. It has consistent connection to the actual Artifactory. The Artifactory X-ray system is connected to itself. On top of that, it pulls all that information up together, knows how to diagnose and scan. There's a lot of reasons why it's important, but it makes it fast. And the thing is speed and efficiency is what developers need, so they can be effective and they can know more rapidly. And also, it actually helps them prioritize what matters most. Use this in conjunction with our contextual analysis inside the IDE, and it's an amazing combination. And this, like I said, we're concentrating today on first-party code that you write. Now, the thing is you should keep in mind, there are plenty of other webinars where we talk about contextual analysis and secret detection and all that. So please go to our YouTube page. There's a ton of it there. Also, we have stuff on our website for our resources area on our website. But today, we're going to be concentrating on this. So with the static code analysis, in this case, SAST, we're doing it looks for things like injections, SQL injections, all the common stuff, right? Cross-site scripting, server size requests and forgeries, weak encryption functions, cryptography. There's a lot of things that we're covering in here. What's malicious and what's unsafe. There's differences, right? Malicious and unsafe is a very fine line that you ride when you start talking about software development, and especially in terms of security. And the thing is that when we look at this, we are, JFrog security is a completely DevSecOps centric kind of cycle, right? We want to make sure that we cover every single component. We are the only tool in the market, because we manage the binaries that you use, right? Those third-party transit dependencies, the builds you produce. You can use us now to detect. We are the only end-to-end DevSecOps platform, right? From the before it comes in with curation. We have the ability with X-ray to pre-evaluate libraries and their transitive friends before they even get used by your developers. We now have SAST to make sure that the code your developers are using are safe and secure, all the way down to the end. So knowing that, I'm going to show you a quick example of the IDE. I'm going to show you an example of our JFrog CLI and how we actually do that too. And I'm also going to show you some examples of Frogbot. So let's go jump in, right? And to start off, let's go take a look at my IDE in this case. So I have a couple of different ones. And one of the ones I have here is a little more extreme. This one here is an application that I'm working on, right? This happens to be, in this case, JavaScript. It's an NPM app. Just to let you know, to use this, you need to have an active account with JFrog, so JFrog and X-Ray. You need to have our advanced security as part of this, right? So SAST is part of our advanced security option. It's a plugin, so if you actually go in and you were to go ahead and look at things like your extensions, right? If you want to go in here and utilize it, all you have to do is just go in here and say JFrog security. Just type in JFrog and you'll be able to install it. And then it'll allow you to go ahead and connect to your server. And I won't go through that process now. But when you do it, one of the nice things is, if you look here, I have this thing that says application.js. And if you look, we actually highlight in here a couple of areas in this code where actually things can be fixed. And if you take a look, we have, of course, all your dependencies. We let you know what dependencies that you're using that could be potential threats and issues. What's great is we can also let you know, is there a vulnerability, a CVE of some sort, and are you being affected by it, right? We actually give you all the CVE details. We've had this for a while, but the thing is that now we have things like cross-site scripting. Well, here you go. Application.js, if you look here, we tell you exactly where in the line it is. We tell you what the vulnerability is for this. What's great is, and one of my favorite features, and I think if you've done this long enough, you'll appreciate this tremendously, is that we show you the data, right? We show you where the evidence is. And what I love is that we actually take you and walk you through how the data is actually being manipulated through the code, right? And we show you actually where it's actually being exploited. I love this feature. I think it's phenomenal. But we also go ahead and we tell you, here's how you can remediate it, or how you can go ahead and ignore it. So if you look here, you look at the return, right? You can see that the return value here, has this in the username. Well, it actually wants you to go in and change this. So we just tell you exactly what you need to go ahead and change. And then once you've changed it, you can go ahead and rescan it, and it's fixed. Right? This is actively. We also can tell your developers, oh, hey, by the way, you know what? You know that test you were doing where you actually hard-coded an API key? Well, you're going to want to figure out a way that, you might want to go in and change that. So this way it's not in your code and possibly being exposed. We also can say, like, there's things like, here you go, here's another one, right? Insecure random, right? So in this case, there's a random generated value where you actually might want to go in and change it, because you actually want to have it so that maybe the random numbers are more crypto based instead of just being standard math based or something like that. We also bring that same level of detail when we show some other. So here's an example here for one that I have where it's called a path traversal, right? And once again, I can follow the data through my code on how this data can potentially be threatening to me. And if you look at this, it's not a very, it's just, most of the time, these tools have a very myopic view of what's there. And what I mean by that is that if you take a look and you can see it's like, every piece that it's touching, it provides information to the developer so that they know, if I adjust this, this is everything that is touching as part of it. And then we give you various aspects in which you can go and remediate. So in this case, if you take a look, you can see here, I can go in and I can see here's the, I can take a look at the last, we'll go to the exception. Here's the actual exception itself. It's in my download config. You can see the piece here. I can go in and change, simply change this as a developer. So in this case, if I were to go ahead and do it, I can just copy my code right here. I can go in here, change the way it's done. I know for a fact that actually this piece right here, where I've got the openif and the config and the logger download, I can go in here and change this. I'll go in and block these out, but I'm going to go grab the config path and this, and I'm going to have a better return base in this case. Here we go. Now I changed it. And what's great is that I'm going to let this run in the background, and this is going to go ahead and scan, and this will actually let me know that whether or not the issue has been fixed or not, right? So I'm going to let this scan in the background, do its thing, and then we'll come back to this in a minute. But in addition to, what's great is that if you look, you can see now that I made that change, and that issue is gone. Just like that, I was actually told all the information that I need, and now I can go in at any point. And if I wanted to, I'll just show you. If I decide to put this back, right? We'll go in, we'll put this back in because it's bad. Hold on, right? Let's go in here and let's change that. There we go. Let's save it. And then if I run this again, it will actually go ahead and scan through these pieces. I don't have my Python environment working currently right now for this other piece I'm working on. Ignore that. But now it's going to go in, it's doing a quick scan, and it's going to tell me when it comes back that that issue has returned, right? This is, if you look, so here it is right here. That's, it's fast. It allows you to go ahead and find this vulnerability information. The other part about this too is that when we are working with, even other pieces, like here's an example of another project I'm working on. And once again, we actually go ahead, and I can even show you in this case, this is another NPM project that I'm working on, but this one here, here's another vulnerability that I have as part of this, and this will allow me to go in and find all the information that I can on whether something is applicable or not. Remember I mentioned applicability. So not only the SAST component, but here's an example where I have a third-party transit dependency that I'm utilizing as part of what I'm doing. And at the same time, it's letting me know that, yeah, I need to address this. This is actually affecting me. I can actually go ahead and it says, go ahead and update the dependency because I have to, but it's letting me know as a developer, and here's the research that we did as part of this scanning. The thing is that giving the developers the maximum maximum amount of knowledge, the maximum amount of evidence to do what they do is really one of the quintessential pieces of what we try to bring to the table when we talk about how developers can go ahead and fix issues, not only with third-party transitive dependencies, but also to when we discover things like hard-coded configuration data. Or here's another example of another hard-coded piece of data that we found where it's actually got the password admin123. Yeah, that sounds safe, right? And I can go ahead and you can actually patch the code and say, just remember, there are some best practices that you're going to want to do. Now, I did mention the fact that we do have this in the IDE, and it does use our CLI. And why is that important? Well, the best part about this is that we also bring the same level of detail to the CLI. So here's a project. I'm running the JFrog audit command, right? So I've actually set up, I'll even just show you here. If I bring this up and I just show you that I'm using my JFrog CLI, if I do, show conf, is this actually, sorry, RT, show config, I think that's what it is. I can't remember. It's been a while. Oh, here it is. I'm backwards. My bad. There we go. My brain sometimes works. But in this case, I'm connected to a series of platforms that I have, right? And in this case, you can see where I'm running this JFrog audit command on an NPM project. First of all, it's going to let me know all my vulnerable dependencies, as you can see here. You can also see that we're also telling you it's a critical issue and it's applicable. There are some here that are undetermined, and there's a whole bunch of critical issues here that they're not applicable, meaning I'm not being affected by the CVE, meaning I could spend and prioritize the things that I want to prioritize, which is like, think about this. Look how many not applicable CVEs there are right here. All these. These would take you forever to investigate, right? You got to go see what the issue is. You need to go see whether or not you're utilizing the thing that is, causing this component to be flagged as critical or high or one of those, right? Think about how many hours in some cases that might take. We just told you by this way that we have a bunch that are actually undetermined, but we have one at least that's applicable here that I can go in and fix this right away. So I only have to determine only a little bit of the things I have. Now, also as part of this, we're also doing secret detection, as you can see here. We actually found that same code. You see too, on SAST to the developer. It's amazing to do a complete audit of the things doing with the CLI and bring back all this and go ahead and fix this. Now, do this in conjunction with the IDE itself, and you have the ability for your developers to act more rapidly, more succinctly with the information they have. And I've even done that over here. If you take a look, I've got another one. And if you look at this, I mean, here you go. Here's a whole bunch of static code problems, right? So like insecure random. And this is in multiple places in this. Wow, this is a terrible project I picked. But there's a lot of information in here that needs to be fixed. I mean, we're talking massive amounts. But the thing is, though, is that, this is a roadmap for me as a developer to know what I have to go in and attribute and fix. Now, on top of this, I mentioned the last thing I wanted to discuss today as part of this discussion, and that's when we go back here, back to my browser, I'm going to show you, we have our JFrog Frogbot. Right now, Frogbot is a way for you to integrate our X-Ray product into your source control management. And what's great is in this case, what we have here is that once it's in, and every time a pull request is done inside of GitHub or Bitbucket or one of those, what's great is that we also produce that same sort of vulnerability part here. Right? Here you go. Here's all the CVEs, the applicability data itself, right? And we also, below, we also tell you that we also have the contextual analysis, right? So here's the contextual analysis for a CVE, where an issue is happening. Here's a SAST issue, and what we show you here is the full description of why this component here is what it is on the pull request. We provide you with all the information and how you can remediate that. Right? This is all within your pull request. Think about this, right? So in other words, IDE for the developers so they can go in and get all that information directly where they need it. They could do it with their CLI. So in other words, you could be a person who doesn't use an IDE. Like I like Vi. I mean, that's what I do. That's where a majority of my work happens. So for me, I can run some code. I can go ahead and you run a quick CLI command and find out, did I do something unexpectedly, potentially malicious and nefarious? And also too, anytime I do a check-in and I do a pull request, I could find out if any of the things I'm using have any CVEs or potentially nefarious components, secret detection, and in this case too, SAST. So having all this information, we are now the full end-to-end DevSecOps solution when it comes for now complete developer confidence, giving them the tools where they can go ahead and attribute and fix things more rapidly, more succinctly, and safely, and also in a way that provides them with more time to do things so you can remediate less and innovate more as a corporation. Now, saying that, we have all these pieces. They're all available now. They are part of our JFrog Advanced Security packaging. So if you do have a subscription with us or you are a customer of ours currently and you're using X-Ray, have your people inquire to their salespeople, and probably one of the team, a part of solution engineering, will be in contact with you. And we can set up a time for demonstration because, like I said, these are just some of the things. Like this is a portion of it, but if you think about the amount of time and effort, because just so you're aware too, like I said, when we look at we look at these pieces here, I'll just show you all this information too for any of this repository scanning, any of these pull requests or anything like that are now also available inside of X-Ray. And if you look here, here's a bunch of GitHub repositories that I have, and the best part is, oops, I'm getting signed out. Hold on, that was interesting. It's been one of those. There we go. Let's try that again. But while that loads, just want to let you know this is actually one of my test environments I've been using. So it looks like, oh, I guess maybe that trial ended. That's okay. I have other examples I can show you some other time. It's a live demo. Things happen. So anyway. The big thing is that make sure you keep in mind that this stuff is available currently right now. The advanced security packages, which also, like I said, includes things like applicability, contextual analysis. Are these issues going to affect you? Secret management, infrastructure as code analysis. Also things such as application and service level detection. Are you enforcing TLS? Right? These are kind of questions you need to ask, and we can help you discover them without having to investigate them. We'll do the investigation for you, and now we have SAST. And the best part about this is that SAST technology that we currently have, we're supporting Java, JavaScript, and Python. And oops, I went a little too far there. And we are going to be having Go, C#, and Rust right around the corner. I see there is a question, I believe. Does it support Ansible and Helm? No, currently right now it's Terraform, but we will be having announcements around other technologies that we will be doing in the very near term. So please keep an eye out for that. We have some exciting things that I can't talk about yet that will be coming towards the end of in this quarter. That will complete our vision of complete end-to-end software development lifecycle security, right? From developer device, from code to cloud, and all that. But I think I think we're pretty close to on time. But if there's any questions or anything people might want to have, let's see. So it's C#. Right, so that's going to be the next thing. So we will have NuGet as one of the supported types here. Any more questions that might be here? And if not, I just want to say this actually went a little shorter than I expected. This was kind of I was asked to step in, like I said, at the last minute. Please send all your thoughts and prayers to all our friends and family. That's and all the turmoil that's going on right now. But thank you all for coming today and supporting us as a company. I hope this has been a good presentation for you. Also, too, I think I have one more. Any idea when C# will be included? Yes, so C# will be included. I believe that we have it in plans for this quarter, so it'll be very soon, right, like around the corner soon. And thank you with all my heart to everyone who attended today. Please go to our website. Please take a look there. If you have any more questions and stuff, please reach out to us. We can do a more in-depth discussion and more in-depth analysis of all these pieces for you. But we're very excited about this today. Be safe, be wonderful, be well, everybody. And thank you for your time. And I appreciate you all.